Hi guys, welcome to Tower Gardening Made Easy, and I'm Sherry. Well, today is our seventh episode of Let's Talk About It, because as gardeners, we have so much to talk about. And today's show, as usual, is jam-packed with a lot of really great things that I'm going to bring to you. But I want to start off with something really exciting that unfortunately we're coming into that year of not only just wonderful weather, but we're going to run into some storms too. So let's go ahead and get into that right now. Okay, so I know down in Florida, all my snowbirds are coming back up here into Newport. It's so great to see everybody and welcome them back. But it's the time of storms. And this question came in, and what do we do? Like, what happens when the lights go out? And I'm, growing up as a kid in the country, you lost power, which means, there's no water because we lived, had a pump and flushing toilets. And then I moved to Wayland, Mass, and didn't have a generator for many, many years. So there were times where power was out for days. So I know that everyone has experienced this, and God bless those people down in North Carolina. They lost power for not only days but weeks. And they were bringing in portable generators, and thank God for was it Starlight, so people get cell service. It was a mess. But for the average person, how does this affect us? We've got some towers. I've got 9. I've actually been thinking about that because we don't have a generator with the new house. But a lot of our power lines here are underground. So I'm really, really hoping that that's not going to be an issue, but I need to be prepared. So I thought long and hard, and how do we do this? Okay, so we're going to break this into 2 segments. We're going to do inside and then we're going to do outside. So we'll start with the inside. So what you can do to prepare. We all have on hand those like Pollin Spring smaller drinking water bottles. And what you would want to do is, obviously you can't run the lights. You're going to have to pop all the lights off, and you have to take the shower cap off. Now, our towers are hybrids. They are hydroponic and they're aeroponic, which means that they are getting their nutrients through their root system through the water. Now, again, I'm going to break this into another 2 parts here. If your tower is in a mature state and the roots are already down into the reservoir, then you really don't have a lot to worry about because it's just there and they'll be just fine. You could sprinkle that water maybe every couple hours, every 6 hours until the power comes back on. However, on the flip side, what if this was a tower that you just planted? So I thought about this. I go, okay, well, if I just planted it, that means that the root systems are not developed and they're still very fragile. So I think what I would do then is I'd probably take them out of the tower and put them back into the nursery in those, the garden sheets. And I would just make sure that they're sitting in a tray of just a little bit of water. Now, obviously, the spider lights won't be on, but at least they'll be able to have their rock wall wet. Now, let's just say that's in between. They're not in the reservoir, but you can't pull them out, and the root system is trying to get to the bottom. What do we do? So this is where the Poland Springs bottles come in. I would take my hand, obviously there's no electricity at this point, and I would put it into the reservoir and I would fill up, I want to say there's 6 to 8 ounces each. And that's really probably all you need is 1 or 2 of those. And I would pop off that shower cap and I would just dump it in there and let it just do its thing, let it rain. And then I would do that instead of being every 45 minutes, maybe every couple hours. It'll be fine. If you start to see something wilt, then yeah, step it up. Now, the bad part is that you got to go to bed at some point. So that's where you need to make your call. How important is your tower? If it was me, I think I'd be downstairs. I'd sleep on the couch. I'd set my watch to maybe every 2 hours, and I would treat them like I'm feeding a baby. I just get up. It's probably only for one night, hopefully, maybe even less. And I would just continuously dump that water on top every couple hours, every 3 hours. I know I wouldn't get sleep, but that's okay. At least my plants would stay alive. But again, if the root system is in that reservoir, don't worry about it. They're going to be just fine. If you wanted, you could probably take a little spray bottle mister around. Don't do it to tomato plants, but everything else they could mist and be fine. But as soon as that power comes back on, I will say that just check your pH and check your nutrients, because if you're doing any spray bottle or hose from the outside, we'll get to the outside in just a quick second, it's going to make your water change. It's going to make the pH change and it might alter your nutrients. So just get it right back on point. Make sure that you hit that button on the timer. Back to 1 if they're indoors and back to 0 if they're outdoors. I think that's what the preset is anyway. And then you should be fine. And then just look for signs of stress. You might, in the coming days, get some browning leaves, yellow leaves. On a pepper plant, you might even see leaves drop off. It's okay. I mean, they went through a little bit of trauma, and frankly, so did you. You need to go check your fridge. Maybe you lost some stuff. It's a good time to clean out your fridge, clean out your freezer, and then just reset. And tell the family, okay, it's time to maybe go buy a few more candles. Just get in preparation for the storm season. All right, so now let's tackle the outside. If you have outside towers, I probably I would take them out of the direct sun. If you have a lanai or maybe a garage that you could put them in, but leave that door open so they could get some sun, but be in the shade. And the same thing, if the roots are developed, they'll probably be okay. You could take a hose and just put it on that mister and just mist them so that they stay on the cooler side. And if they're seedlings, again, I probably would take them out and put them back into a nursery. And if they're tweeny, then that's when you're really going to have to make that call of watering them. And hopefully they do okay and the power comes on with less than a day. Hopefully it's just a day. If it's more than a day, then that's when we all just have to go, maybe I can is it worth just starting over if they're super young? But that's your call as to how involved you are, because I know that you're busy in a situation like this, taking care of your family. And that's probably the most important. But you also want to save your food too, because that's why we're growing this. Okay, it's a little bit of food security. And it would be a good time to harvest too. So you don't have to go out in the storm. You've got food, hopefully, that's right there. Maybe you've got some tomatoes or cucumber or lettuce. Make a big salad for the family, get on that outside grill with the propane, throw some frozen chicken on there, and make a meal. That's definitely what I would do. So we're coming into the season. I know up here in the Northeast, it starts mid-summer with those little tropical storms start to pop up. But so let this podcast, let this video be your guide as to get ready for what's to come, if it comes. Hopefully not. But I thought this question was amazing, and it really does kind of just prep you for it. So let's continue. Okay, I love this one. Let's see. What is the hard white crusty stuff? Okay, can someone tell me what this creates this crusty buildup on the tower gardens and how to prevent it? I can tell you. It's nutrient buildup, unfortunately. Now, I don't have any other follow-up videos other than this one that's here. And then what I can see is the leaves look green. Looks like it's all just like some type of lettuce of some sort. It looks relatively healthy from what I can tell. But if you have nutrient buildup like that, it might be time to check the lettuce. How does it taste? If it's bitter, then I think I might do a big harvest and eat what you can and take your tower apart. I would strongly advise cleaning it, clean it out, really scrub it stem to stern. And then I would also look at the nutrients that you're using. Are you using Tower Garden or are you using something that you bought off of Amazon? I've never tried anything other than Tower Garden. I like the way that it produces the food, the way that it grows, and it's really kind of true to nature. So I'm probably going to stick with that. But I can't speak for other companies, but it shouldn't be doing this. It's very, very odd, and it's not good for the tower, and it's definitely not good for the plants. And if you're checking your pH and you're checking your ECs with the meters, this should not happen. So there's something wrong in your little ecosystem that you have with the towers. So again, I would kind of stop, drop, and clean, and start over. So let's continue. I hope that was answered this question. So I'm going to pause this for a quick second, and I'm going to roll it back just for a quick, there we go. So I did a live last week, and as you guys have probably seen, there's a lot of growth happening downstairs. I've got everything is just in a really, really good state. And now that I'm really being methodical about using my pH meter, about using my EC meter, I can really see the difference. I have less leaves that are turning and less questions, because whenever I think there's something wrong, I instantly go to that check system and then I correct whatever it is. Now I'll give you for instance, my cucumbers. I just looked at them the other day and I've got some tweenies and I just go, what's going on there? I've got one side that's mature and I've got some seedlings that are kind of little, and then I've got these tweenies, and the tweenies should be really doing great. Now, I've never ever had to worry about the pH in this particular tower. It's always been spot on. And since I turned it over, I think what happened is some of the old roots, as I was cleaning it out, I think they're still within those levels of the tower. And what happens is they just start to die and they will give off gases. So I was like, let me just go check that pH. And sure enough, dang it, that pH was like 7 and change. I've never had to worry about my cucumbers. They've always, when I check them, they're like the last tower because I know how stable they are. They've always ranged in like that in that 6 spot, that like 5.8, 6.2, right in that sweet spot. How it got so high, it has to be the dead roots because I never took it apart. So that was a little disconcerting. So I definitely, got the pH down and treated it, gave it a good stir, and it brought it right down. So I was very happy about that. But yeah, so let's continue. Okay, so these are the clusters of tomatoes, and they're all over the tower. That's the old tower that's still producing. So I'm going to leave it alone. All right, so right here you can see the zucchini tower, and a little history on this. So when I planted the zucchini tower out, I had a little bit of an issue. It it grew real fast. It did amazing, and then all of a sudden it kind of stopped and started throwing off all kinds of female flowers. I'm sorry, male flowers. And I'm like, where are my females? Because they're the ones that produce the fruit. And I was like, I don't have any. So I kept kind of pulling and cutting back just a little bit, and nothing was happening. And then some of my leaves started to turn. So there we go, get the meters out. And sure enough, I was off. And this is when I turned and said, enough. I need to do the nutrients. I can't do it any other way. And since then, I have female, I have male, I have beautiful green leaves. But the only thing that I can say about this tower is that, as you can see at the very top of those of where the zucchini starts, it's very full, and the very bottom is a little spartan. So I'm thinking it's a light issue, and this is the home and not the flex. So I think it's a little inside. So I think if I were to do this again, I probably will do it on a flex and not a home. And I may not plant every net pot, which breaks my heart, um, because I just think that it needs more room to grow. And if I do that, then I'm actually going to produce more fruit by giving it the space that it needs and not crowding it. Because some are doing great and some are, I mean, on the inside, exterior, it looks beautiful, but I don't want house plants. I want something that's actually going to produce a meal for me. So it's getting there, but it's still got a ways to go. But I would definitely consider my tower, at the mature stage. So let's continue. All right, the strawberry tower. Let's go there. So my strawberry tower is chock full of little strawberries. As you can see, they're not very big, not like the store-bought ones. I have tons of little ones. I'm glad that I did this. I took it from seeds, which was, a real, what in the butt. But I took it from seed, I put it in, it started to flower, and I've spent hours pollinating. And as a result, I have all of these beautiful strawberries, but not enough. So when I look back and I say, was it worth it? As a challenge, yes. But as producing fruit or food for my family, not really. So I think once we have passed the stage of flowers and fruiting, I probably will pull the majority of the tower out. The top baby green section has new strawberry plants, but they just started to flower. So I'll let that go. I'm fine with that. But the majority of this flex, I think what I'll do is I'll plant something else that's a little more satisfying to put food on my table. But it really is very pretty when you look at it. It's very colorful, and I still have flowers that are popping, and I'm still pollinating. So I'll continue the growth cycle until it tells me no more. Kind of like where the big tomato tower is. There's very little flowers at this point. So I might do something this week where I trim down the top, trim down the sides, and see if I can't get any more flowers. And if I can't, I'm going to harvest as they ripen. And then again, I'm going to pull that one out. I'm going to clean it, and we'll start over with something new. So let's continue. What else do we have in this video? Oh, okay, the beans. Yes. All right, so let me touch on this for a quick little second. The um, the video that I did, big seed, big lesson, which was it was a store-bought seed that I got, and obviously it just didn't work. Like it just did not like the tower. So I ripped it apart, cleaned it out, and I planted the botanical interest beans. And I think they're called the Lake Blue. You can watch that video that when I replanted this, and it's beautiful now. The whole tower is full. I mean, it's just massive. It's got these incredibly beautiful chartreuse leaves, and it's now got these beautiful little flowers. But you know what I discovered? So with my time lapse videos that I'm doing, I mean, I kind of knew, but this actually kind of sealed the deal. So the time lapse right now is on this tower, and it's on just a section of like the leaves and the flowers as they're going through time. And I think the setting is on every 15 minutes, and I'll leave it on for a few weeks. I've already actually had to move some of the foliage out of the way because it grew so much overnight. Is that during the day when I watch the time lapse, I play it back just because I think it's so fascinating. Um, it doesn't grow very much during the day. But the crazy part is when you turn the lights out or they go off on their own, the time lapse goes to the night vision, but it's still snapping every 15 minutes. The amount of growth that happens on our towers at night is crazy. So when I publish this, you guys are going to see what I mean. That you'll notice in the night vision portion, which will go pretty fast, you're going to see things grow exponentially versus the daytime. And you saw that with the pepper plants too. Not, yeah, I mean, a little bit with the lettuce, but when you watch the bean one that I'll do in a couple weeks, it's really amazing. So it just goes to show you, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later, about lights and letting your plants rest. Because we, as people, when you go to bed, our circadian rhythm resets. And that's when our body repairs because we produce what they call growth hormone. And I think the plants do something very similar. They don't produce growth hormone, but your body goes around and it does like a reboot, like when your TV or your phone's acting up, you turn it on, turn it off. That's what our body does. So I'm kind of thinking that the plants, when they're growing exponentially at night, they are doing the same thing. It's like a reboot for them, and that's when they really give out much of their growth. So I didn't know that until recently, and I discovered it with the time lapse, but it was pretty fascinating. So let's keep going. And then the pepper plant. Oh my God, I love my pepper tower. So if you watched my video the other day, Cinco de Mayo, big harvest, and then I did the fajita recipe. This tower is chock full of peppers. I mean, it is just delicious. I wish there was more yellow, but most of them are orange, but that's okay. They're so flavorful. They're so good. And I have so many, even after taking off all of that bounty of peppers the other day. Um, I'm headed to my mom's probably in a week or two. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to harvest this and bring up some peppers to her. I think she'd really like those. They're just so pretty. And then, again, I don't really see a lot of flowers on this, so I think it's probably time to turn this one as well. So we'll give it a little bit longer until I get everything to the ripeness, and hopefully a couple of the little ones grow a little bit bigger because they're really tiny. It's not worth cleaning. So I want more of the bigger ones. So she's lovely, and I would do this tower 10 times over again. And again, I grew these in my basement. So you can do it. More strawberries. And then, okay, so let's talk about the watermelon tower. This thing is going crazy. The amount of growth that I have, because the nutrients and the pH are spot on. It's amazing. So you have the male and you have the female flower. And I'm doing my self-pollination down there. And what I've realized, it's just like the strawberries. So think of the strawberry flowers, that beautiful flower that kind of opens up and it's like, hey, how are you? And then you pollinate it with the brush. And then what happens is the flower closes. And as it closes, if it's pollinated, it drops forward to create the berry. That midsection will they'll come forward with the weight. So what I've discovered with the watermelon is it does the same thing. So it starts off with a teeny tiny fruit with this beautiful flower. You pollinate it with a brush. It closes, and then you can start to see it come forward and droop down. So I have two that I've tied a little bit of string because the vines, they grow so fast that I can't find the watermelons because they're still kind of tiny. So I took a little bit of string and tied it nearby just loosely so that I could kind of get into the brush and find a watermelon. And there's two of them that look like they're pollinated because they're in that downward position and they're growing. They're starting to swell a little bit. So it's really exciting to watch. And again, let's see what happens with this tower. I might be one and done. I don't know. But right now I'm loving the experience just like I did with the strawberries. And I'm learning so much about the pollination process between the male and the female. I had more females than I did males with this one, which was odd because it's more energy to grow those guys than why didn't I have males? But it's okay. I have both now, and it's super healthy. I will say that the leaves, when you touch them, they're sticky. Like they're hairy and they're sticky. Like I got to go wash my hands after. Maybe that's just to keep pests off. I don't know. That's Mother Nature just kind of throwing you a little bit of a curve. So they're super cute. And then, of course, my cucumbers, we're talking about this. I've got one side that's kind of that tweeny, starting to throw off some flowers, male and female. I just pollinated my first couple the other day. The other side's a little more mature. You can see where those leaves are a little shriveled. That's just what these plants do. They're not pretty, but they're producing tons and tons of cucumbers. And I just prune it back so it gets plenty of airflow. The window now I can kind of keep open, not all the time, but definitely in the morning I get down there, pop it open, and it's doing its thing for the most part. Like that older section, I don't have to do a lot of pollination, a couple here and there, but on the new side, I'm working that. I really want that to fill out as well and balance it. So love and they taste so good. Oh my God, the cucumbers, you guys, are amazing. The taste is just, I can't explain it. It's just really delicious. It's better than any store-bought cucumber you could ever have. As a matter of fact, I made a salad last night. And my husband said to me, he goes, "Your salads, when you're making them," he said, there's so much aroma in the air and between the lettuce and the cucumber." He goes, "It's just really, really fresh." And I go, "I know. Like that's why I'm doing this." So guys, if you haven't started already and you're just kind of watching some videos to get the idea, even if you start with one tower, just one, and you grow something, it's going to taste so much better than what you're going to be buying in the grocery store. And eventually, it's going to even out what you spend on the tower. And you can find these guys in the marketplace at Facebook for like little to no money. I promise you, I've found so many so far for myself and for other people. So try it. Just try it. Get in the game. All right, let's finish this out. The last little portion that I want to show you is a video that I just posted. And it keeps going to the end. There we go, right there. Let me pause it. There we go. This is arugula. And I want to say that this so far is my favorite lettuce on the tower. It grows really well. For the rock wall, I'm using the tower garden because it has that bigger seed port, and I literally just dump the seeds in there. I don't count them. I don't care. And when they get to the stage, you can go take a look at that video, the time-lapse video. I think it was Salad Anyone is what I named it on the thumbnail. And this is seeds from seed to seedling in 10 days, and you can watch the time lapse. I know that the majority of the people here are probably not a beginner, but the people who want to get into the game that are probably just going to start with the greens like we did when we first started, they're going to be able to see how to do it. And it really is very, very simple. But I will say that when you put this on your tower in your baby green section, it's delicious. And the leaves, you can do that process of the cut and come again method, and it will just go forever. But we're going to talk about that a little bit deeper in the show. It was a question that came up, but definitely try the arugula. If you got those free seeds from Tower Garden, they're amazing. I have several packets. I'm almost out, so I'm going to have to find them, but I grow this all the time. So let's go ahead and move on. Blinded by the lights. Okay, let's talk about this. So someone planted out a tower. I put full strength nutrients in, and when I put my seedlings into my tower garden, they set the lights at 18 hours and 6 off. My pH is 6. That looks pretty good. And trimmed off a lot of dead leaves already. Can anyone advise what's wrong? Yes. I just talked about the time video about the beans. So I'm going to use that as my example. I set my towers to turn on, I want to say 6 in the morning, and they go off like I want to say 8 or 9. So they're on for a little bit, but they're not on for 18 hours. I think that's too much. They really need that resting period from the 9 to 6, which would be a really good, 8, 9 hours of rest. Because when I post that bean video, that time lapse, you guys are going to see the growth that happens when the lights are off. The plant, it's resetting itself, its circadian rhythm, it's growing like a crazy person, and you'll see it in the video. It's not done yet. I can't pull it. I just planted it, or just started it, I should say. So we're giving it all of this charge from the lights that are on during the day. We're giving it the water from the hydroponic, aeroponic hybrid systems that we have in. But when the lights go out, they get to rest. And when they rest, just like us, we repair and grow. So as a retired bodybuilder, my coaches had always said to me, you have to get rest, because you can go to the gym, break down that muscle, go home and eat your meals. But if you're not getting the sleep or the naps in, you're never going to grow new muscle. So I think it's really the same thing with plants. They need that rest away from the direct sun, and they need, just to rebuild. And again, I can't say this enough. When you see this video, it's going to blow your mind what it looks like at night. It's really quite cool. So honestly, I wouldn't go more than, max 15 hours. So I pull those lights back and make sure that they're not directly on the plant. Make sure that as the plant grows on the tower, you're pulling those lights away. Otherwise, you're going to end up with these really big burn spots that are on your leaves. You'll see it. It happens because I'll, avidly during the day, have them a little close, and then at night you've got some growth, and now they're too close. You just have to make sure you constantly adjust if you're using lights. Also, too, if you're doing outdoor gardens, tower gardens, don't put them in the direct sun. Like, pull them away if you can. And that's another thing. Have a dolly. Make sure that your towers are on a dolly so that you can wheel them around as the season progresses. If it's not, then you're dragging this thing. It's so heavy, especially with the 20 gallons of water. So even if you don't want to buy the one that comes with a tower, you can buy them at Home Depot. They sell them for plants. You can even get the industrial ones that are it's like a slab of wood that they've already put the industrial wheels on. Get a couple people, put it up on this wooden dolly, and now you can move it around. And I know they have little brakes, so you don't have to do anything fancy. But we're going to get into that in a minute too. But the dollies are very, very helpful. So blinded by the lights, cut that time down, and you will definitely see your plants improve. Can't say that enough. Okay, I love this one because I definitely feel this pain. $1 million strawberry. So as we just talked about, having that strawberry tower from stem to stern, starting it in November, and then seeing it straight through to where we are today to mid-May, where I'm harvesting. It was a lot of time, a lot of energy, a little bit of money, if you don't count the tower. But it's just not producing enough. But I love this girl's comment because it's so funny. When I pulled the first strawberry that I shared with my husband, she goes, behold, after a month and a half of doing hydro, my $1,000 strawberry. I split it with my husband. And it's funny because I went downstairs and I harvested a bunch off the tower, and I brought them up to him in my hands, and I was like, here, honey. And I said, you can put them in your cereal. And he's like, oh, are these off the tower? And I'm like, yeah, of course they are. I just went downstairs and got them for you. And so he threw them in his cereal, and he enjoyed them. But it's just, it's not this big store-bought ones that are, definitely more pleasurable because they're large. These were the little ones, teeny tiny. So yeah, I feel her pain. I feel like it was $1 million strawberry, and I'm still harvesting here and there, and they're perfect for just like a little side thing for something, or eating. Sometimes I'm down there and I'm hungry, and I just eat them off the tower. That and celery. What a combination, huh? So I love that comment. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Here we go. Oh boy, I saw this and was like, Jurassic. Does anyone know what kind of plant this is? It must have been in the mixed gourmet seeds probably like from Tower Garden is what she's referring to. I've had my tower for almost 3 years and I've never had this pop up. I think it's cabbage. Yes, I think you're right. So there are certain things that I would suggest you can grow on your tower. This is not one of them. And the reason is look at these leaves. I mean, they really, really take over. And the same thing, if you guys watched my video, the mammoth summer squash, it took over almost half of my tower and it blocked and canopied the light of a lot of my other stuff that I was growing. So it was the right thing to take it out. And the same thing with this. You're going to grow this, and at the end of the day, you're going to end up with something that's about that big with all those leaves. So there's certain things that really just should be outdoors and not grown on the tower. But if you have an area that you want to devote and try it once as an experiment, go for it. Because that's what I'm doing. People are like, you can't grow watermelon on a tower. I'm like, yes, you can. And that's how I feel. Like, I just want to do it once. And if it's an epic failure and I get two, maybe one, then it was worth it. I could say I tried it and it actually was really good, but it took up a whole tower and a lot of time. But I have a feeling at the end of the day, the strawberry tower is going to turn into something like a pepper tower or a tomato or a cucumber, something that's going to sustain me that I can constantly harvest off of. I might even just do a solid tower of greens because I really go down there and I don't use that cut to come method or cut and come again method. I literally just take the whole cube of rock wall and what I pull out of there is really enough for two salads. And it's perfect for me and my husband because I've got that. I pull a cucumber, I got some tomatoes, I got some celery, and I have a salad versus the cut and come again. But if you only have one tower, then I understand doing that method because you're trying to save that plant. But we'll get into that, and that's down a few more segments. But try the cabbage once, but you're going to see that it's very pretty. Some people say that you can even juice those greens, but I don't know. I think I would pass on that one. But you do you. Try it. Just try it once. All right. I love this next one. I love this. All right. So remember we did that little bee segment a couple of weeks ago. Um, the little bee is completely just, pollen drunk, hanging in. It looks to be a crocus. If you have seen the bees come out of the ground just now, they're kind of stumbly, wobbly after a long winter, and they're looking for flowers. So if you don't have any flowers and you see a lot of them in your yard and you have towers that are going to go outside or flower soon, put some sugar water, go back to my other podcast and look for that chapter and how to do it. I think it's like a 2-to-1 or 1-to-1 ratio where you mix and boil the sugar and water and put it into a little feeding container you can get onto Amazon. But go look at that video. But this person put this up there and I just go, oh my God, it's so cute. Just absolutely adorable. I love bumblebees, even though they're really stupid. All right, let's get into the next. All right, so here's where we're going to get into that cut and come again. The question is, how long can tear leaves off the lettuce before you replace with new seedlings? I've been eating since December. Most are not bitter. So the bitterness is what you're looking for. You're looking for what does it taste like. So if it starts to taste a little bitter, I actually have a few celery that are starting to get to that. They need to come out. I'm growing celery right now in the nursery, but it's a green, teeny tiny seed, so it takes a little time for that root system to really develop. It's on the same line as the strawberry. Be patient. So I would say as long as it's not bitter, you can go ahead and do this method of cut and come again, where you're literally just pulling from the outside leaves, cutting them, and leaving the crown alone because they're going to grow from the crown and push out, and they'll continue to grow from the center. Same thing with the celery. Just trim on the outside, and then as the ones that you cut kind of turn brown, you can break those off, and they'll continue to grow from the center, and you'll constantly have a supply of celery. But what I will say is every plant does have a lifespan, and then you'll have to make that judgment call when it doesn't taste very good. So I know at least one celery plant will be coming out very soon. Hopefully I can replace it with something new. Like I said, it takes time. But the same thing with the lettuce. Just go with it, and then when it's too bitter, just pull that whole thing, cut that rock wall, have your last nibble of it, and then put some new stuff in there because it grows really, really fast. So that is what you should do with that. All right, so the next segment that we're going to get into, it's called Too Hot to Handle. And it's a three-part segment. I had a question come in, and I really want to just dive deep on this one because we're coming into the warm weather, whether you're up here in the Northeast or you're down in the southern states, okay? All right, too hot to handle. Things to check. This individual lives in Florida, and she's growing some peppers. So as you can see from these two net pots. I can't even really see any rock wall, so we could start there, but I just want to address the too hot to handle part. Um, they're all wilted. So if these are seedlings and they're in the blazing sun of Florida, yeah, you're gonna have some issues. It's too much. It's kind of like the full strength nutrients. Some plants can handle it and some plants can't. But she says that her pH is 7. That's actually way too high for peppers. It should be around 6 and change. I need to check that PDF form. If anybody wants to chime in the comments, please do if they have theirs nearby. You can, let's see, um, everything else is thriving. Yeah, I think they were just too young and the sun was just too intense. So what I would do is I would take that tower and I would put it on the side of your house where it gets that morning sun as you come into that really hot weather of the year down there. So the morning sun, so from like maybe like 8 to like 10, it gets good sun. And then as the day progresses, it should be more shaded, more canopied, like under a lanai or a garage that can be wheeled. Because if you're gardening with me, all of our towers are on dollies, and all you have to do is push it and bring an extension cord with you. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper now onto this, but if you've got pepper plants, if you were to revive, I would take a look at this picture one more time before we move on. The one that's on my left might be able to be revived if proper water and get it out of the sun. The one on the right, I don't know. You got two leaves. Pepper plants, if you can revive them, what will happen is that uh, they might come back, but you're going to have some loss. Those bottom leaves, they're probably just going to drop off. But doesn't mean it's dead. It just means that you just need to kind of pull those leaves and just see what happens. But it's too much for these little guys. So get it out of the sun. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. All right, so I really want to help you guys in just like with the storms. Let's get prepared for warmer weather. I am going to place onto the website in the nutrient essentials. I'm going to find an aqua floatable thermostat or a thermometer like you have in your pool or hot tub. The optimal water temperature for the gardens is between 65 and 75. So I would suggest when you go out to your towers, if they're outside, you reach in there just like you're going to be checking everything else. If you're checking pH or nutrients in the day, in the morning, get out there, pull that thermometer, see what it says. And it's probably okay because it's morning. But if it's still on the warmer side, we're going to get into that in just a second, how to deal with that. But you definitely need to have a thermometer. Don't guess that, because if it's too warm, then your roots are going to be cooking and you're going to end up with a lot of root rot, and then your towers, it's shot. So how do we cool it? Let's go over some strategies. Shade the reservoir. Great idea. You could take one of those round, I think they're blankets that you can buy at Home Depot, and they use them for water heaters, water tanks in your house with the shiny side out. That will reflect off of the bottom and kind of keep it on the cooler side. So that I thought was an awesome idea. So they call it a shade cloth. Yeah, I've seen the blankets. Okay, so insulate the base and wrap the reservoir with reflective materials like that blanket. I think that's what they're talking about. Okay, and again, keep it out of that direct sun of the day, because that's when you're just you're boiling, you're cooking. Okay, so let's talk about the frozen water bottles. So before you do that, remember that the reservoir into your tank, it's only so big. All right, so it's a little rectangle. So what you want to do is take your Pollin spring bottles that we all have, we get from the store. Don't throw them out. Obviously, recycle them, but save, like I would say, 6 to 8. Do not, let me repeat this, do not fill them up all the way, because when you freeze water, it's going to expand. Fill them up 80%, maybe even 75%. and make sure the cap is on tight and lay them on their side, tipped up a little bit. That plastic will expand. Put them in your freezer. In the morning, as you check your temperature gauge in the water, have one of the Pollin springs ready to go in there. Okay, and that's how you're going to deal with that. Throughout the day, I would go out there and I would just keep checking it, or you just got to move it. It's just, again, it goes back down to how important are your towers. And you put time and money and effort. I wouldn't want you to cook your plants. So just do the frozen water bottle method. It's awesome. There is one more way to do this. It's very costly, and if you've got more than one tower, I don't know how you would really, it wouldn't be cost effective, but I'm going to go over it in a minute so that you can have your options. Okay, the other thing is make sure that your reservoir is topped off. So if you've watched my nutrient video, we talk about no more worries about top offs. So if you need to top it off because it's, halfway, I would totally do that because you want those 20 gallons because 20 gallons of water is going to heat up slower than 10. So definitely top it off, and that means that you're going to adjust your pH and you're going to adjust your nutrients. So definitely do that. So increase your water volume. Elevate your tower. So we just talked about the dollies. This is the perfect example to have your tower off of the cement. Or pebbles if you're on pebbles, because what do rocks do? What do cement do? They're conductors of heat. So not only is the sun baking it from the top, but the sun is baking that cement or those rocks that your tower is sitting on, and that conductor of heat is going to transfer underneath. And so now you're cooking it from the top and the bottom. However, if you have it on a dolly sitting on rubber wheels, it's not going to conduct. It's only going to get the heat from above, which then you can control by putting frozen water bottles in there and checking your temperature gauge. Okay. Let's see, elevating tower. We covered that one. Schedule watering wisely. Yeah, you definitely want to, maybe missed it if you're outside. But again, if you're doing that, you're getting water inside those net pots, you are changing the chemistry of your water, even by just a little bit. So I would only do it. I think some hoses have that little. It's almost like a tiny, tiny mist, and I would just focus on some of the leaves just to keep it on the cooler side. However, don't do that to your tomato plants because the tomato plants do not like to be wet. They really don't like it, and you will start to see that yellow, and maybe even get some black spots. So stay away from that one. Enhance irrigation. So, it's your pumps on the inside. So we're going to get into that in a minute. Consider a water chiller. Again, that's in a minute. Lowering your nutrients, adjusting the nutrients, concentrate. I would do if it's super, super hot. So if you're following me, then you're going to be doing your EC. And with the EC on that PDF form that you have, I would go, let's just say that's 1.8 to 2.4. I think that's what cucumbers are. I probably would do 1.9 to 2. That would be the EC reading. Just go on the lower side for those hot, hot months. And then wait a week, and see what your tower does. And if it starts talking to you where it's not doing well, then maybe bump up the nutrients just a little bit. Maybe move it out of the sun. Just keep doing small variables. Don't do all at once, just do small variables. But I definitely think the temperature in the water with the frozen water bottles and the thermometer that floats is going to be a huge, huge help. And then you just take the Pollin Springs water bottles out, rinse them, back in the freezer. That kind of solves that. Now, this is the last issue, and I don't know that it's a viable, but let's just take a look at it. So I researched these on Amazon, and they're really expensive. So if you look down here in the right-hand corner, it's $460 for one unit. Now, this one unit, they do use, it says right on there, for hydroponic water chilling cooling system with remote control. Okay, well, that's great. But it's only for one tower. So this individual uses it for his cold plunge, and he lives in Florida. So we'll watch the video in just a second. But if you've got more than one tower, I don't know how you would do this. I'm not a plumber. So if this is something that you're interested in and you have a friend who is a plumber, show them the video and show them your tower setup. So maybe they have a system where they could set it up for multiple and run it off of that. But the only thing I'm thinking is that the water's going to go in, the unit's going to chill it, and then the water gets pumped back to the reservoir, and then the pump on the inside gets showered to the top. So you really couldn't use this for multiple towers, because think about your pH in your EC and the different towers. They're all just a little bit different because you're growing different kinds of plants. So I don't know that it would work. You'd have to buy multiple units. And at $460, it just depends on how much you love your towers. Personally, I think I would just do the water frozen water bottles and just chuck it. And I think I would just move my towers either inside or into a place on the side of the house where it's just not so sunny. So it's really your call that you do that. So those are the choices: water bottles or expensive unit, or moving your tower. But the one thing, honestly, get it up on a dolly, get it off of that cement, because look at, even though his cold plunge, it looks like it's off the ground. Those little cement bricks or whatever they are, that is a heat conductor. And it's literally like putting your tower on top of a stove. So got it. You have to do that. So, okay, we're done with the 3-part series there. So let's go ahead and move on. And this is the time lapse of the salad arugula. So if you want to watch it again, I'm going to quickly play it for you guys. It's really, really good, and it just shows. If you're staying with me here, it shows that it grows a little bit more at night than it does during the day. So it's a quick little video. So let's go ahead and watch it. See the growth right there at night? It's so cute. You can see the celery in the background. Okay, so I actually just planted this the other day because I needed to get it out of the nursery. It's now planted in on top of my watermelon tower, and it's doing quite well. I love arugula. So I'm going to head down here. Here we go. If anyone saw or hasn't seen the Cinco de Mayo, you really should. It was a great video where I took you from table to tower. We took the peppers off the tower. We went upstairs and I made this delicious recipe of chicken fajitas. They're super, super easy to make. If you go into the video, look at the comments. There's a little link there that will take you to the recipe right here that I put down for you. So you just click on it. It's going to take you to a Google Drive, and you can download it and then print it for yourself. But it's really, really super, super easy. It's literally like, any chicken you want, about a pound, pound and a half, 2 packets of taco seasoning, a cup of water that you just marinate and throw it on top of the peppers. Read the instructions. It's super, super easy and very, very healthy. And I had a blast making that video. So, and they were yummy. I think I still have leftovers, so I think I'll have those for lunch. And then that brings me to my my last one. I got this comment from one of my community members, and I just wanted, it just really warmed my heart. She says, you're one of the best grow tower channels on YouTube. That's just amazing. Thank you so much. The first video I saw, my mouth dropped. Over 8 towers, like I'm tearing up a little bit, in one room, and so beautifully maintained. I wish you an abundance of growth with your channel. That warms my heart because it really is a lot of work, and I could not do it without my community. The podcast to put together every week, there's a lot of segments that go into it. Even though it looks relatively easy, it's not. And I do it because I really think that a lot of the content videos are great, and they can, you sit down, you can watch them at your convenience. The podcast really breaks down a lot of what's going on out there in the community, like the storms, like dealing with your cooling issues that we're going to be dealing with very, very soon. There's just a lot of um, content it's been almost 50 minutes, and then you can go back and replay these chapters when it's convenient for you or watch it again. And again, my station is built on keeping things easy. That's where the whole um, name came from, made easy. I want to make this as simple and as easy as it can possibly be for people to grow their own food, to stay out of the grocery stores, to take control of what's going into your body. And I've tried to parlay that with building a very simple site that you can just click and it takes you to exactly where you need, whether it's Amazon or a PDF form. And when I research products, I try to find not only a really good product for you, but something that's as inexpensive as possible, because you can go crazy buying things. But I don't want you to do that. I want you to simplify your lives and um, really just buy essentials, what you need. And if I don't think that it's important, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to put it out there. It's really for your call. But I've tried to make it easy. I've tried to make it organized. And I'm really having a good time with this. I can't thank you guys enough. If you haven't subscribed, I hope that you will. And if you haven't checked out the website, please do. It's right there, towergardeningmadeeasy.com. And please catch up on the podcast. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And I can say that I look forward to doing a couple of interviews. So I've got a few people in mind that I want to sit down and talk to, pre-recorded, and then I can kind of edit and shorten if need be, on top of bringing all these wonderful things to you that I find all week long. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining me. And we will see you next Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, because, let's talk about it. As gardeners, we have a lot to say, and I hope you have a wonderful week. So thank you so much.